What is NLP, or Neuro Linguistic Programming, you may ask? Well, NLP is a technology that was created in the 70s by Richard Bandler and John Grinder. And these were both men who were very curious about the inner workings of human psychology, of the experience that human beings had, and how to create change rapidly. And what they did was they modeled the most successful people. Now, are you familiar with Bruce Lee? Bruce Lee, arguably one of the most successful martial artists on the planet. Now, why was he so successful? Well, he immersed himself in the arts. He immersed himself in all of the arts, not just one style, but as many styles as he could experience. And then what he did was he distilled it down to the essentials of what made each of those arts so fantastic. And then he created his own style called Jeet Kune Do. Now, NLP is essentially the Jeet Kune Do of psychology, of influence. And a great example of that might be just a visual would be oftentimes we think that we can create success in life, and we want to take the path of least resistance and get from point A to point B the quickest, right? So we want point A to point B the quickest, and we think that it's going to be a straight line. And there's a number of ways that you could look at this. Number one is, if you really think about it, very few things are very straight in nature anyway. So what NLP really helps you understand and utilize is the idea of flexibility. Now, if you notice as well, with this rope, we have this rope, and if we straighten it out, well, that may take a while. But when we've got the rope, the two ends, we could actually shorten the distance from point A to point B by being flexible, by thinking outside the box. And that's what NLP is all about, is it's about thinking outside the box. It's about actually removing the box entirely, or realizing that the box was never there. Or is it? You see, the truth is that NLP is the study of the structure of human experience, the structure of thought. It's understanding the science, the technology, the system of thinking, and the patterns that we run. So by understanding it, what we can do is model the most successful. So back in the days of the creation of NLP, what Bandler and Grinder did was they modeled the most successful therapists. That's how it started. So they modeled Virginia Satir, and at the time, as a family therapist, she was the most successful. She would get the best results, better than anybody else. And they asked this question. They said, well, how is it that she can get such incredible results so quickly, whereas other therapists take a really long time? They also modeled Milton Erickson, who was one of the most successful hypnotherapists ever. And he was able to create incredible change in really short periods of time simply through conversation. And they were able to model him and interview him and find out what it was he was looking for. How did he know change was occurring? And they would just go through all these different successful transformational conversations and noticed what was so effective. When it worked, what was different? When it didn't work, what was different? And then distilled it down into a philosophy. Now, there was a time when people thought that NLP was a series of protocols. And while there are protocols in that, when you see some patterns, you can recreate those patterns. But the truth is, that's just part of it. Really what it is the philosophy. It's by understanding how people communicate to themselves and others. So NLP, or Neuro-Linguistic Programming, has been used in sales, in politics, in being attorneys use it. There's technologies called sleight of mouth that is an incredibly powerful understanding and utilization of language patterns. And we'll get into all of these, and I'll hopefully maybe even bring on some of the people who have mentored me and taught the different parts of NLP. But just think of the idea that neuro-linguistic programming is understanding neuro, right? Your neurology. Linguistic, understanding language. Now, this language is more than just words. It's body language. It's understanding our physiology to a degree that oftentimes is forgotten about. and then programming. And Bandler was a computer scientist, so he looked at the idea that our brain works a lot like a computer, right? So what do? We program computers, hence the name programming our mind. And we're seeing this happening every day, by the way. We're being programmed by ourselves and others, whether we realize it or not. And this is why NLP and understanding it is so powerful, especially today, because we're able to then notice, oh, I see that is programming certain ways of thinking, programming a way of being. And if we're not aware of it, if we're not conscious of it, it can certainly influence us. So once we can take control and actually program or condition ourselves, this is where we get extraordinary results and how we could help other people. Another person you may be familiar with is my mentor, Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins is actually the one who's responsible for creating the awareness of NLP, because what happened was early in Tony's career, he found a way to get into a training with Bandler and Grinder. Now, at that time, the training was only for therapists and psychologists. You could only be, if you were practicing psychologist, therapist, if you were a licensed clinician, you could get this training. And Tony, using his influence skills, not understanding or realizing what he was doing specifically, but when he got some of this training, he learned it. And he was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. This can help so many people. So he went out and started helping people immediately. And one of the things that helped put NLP on the map, and Tony, was he was doing fast phobia cures. So he would go on the radio and he would hold these events and he would say to therapists, bring me your worst phobic person and I will cure them in one session. I will cure them of their phobia in an hour or less. And he did, for the most part. Fortunately, anything that was recorded, anytime it was on the air, on a television show or what have you, he was able to figure out and help that person break free from that phobia. And I've done it hundreds of times myself. Helped people eradicate phobias, help people reprogram their mind, utilizing it in speaking, in sales. So NLP is a philosophy. It's the study of the subjective human experience. NLP is a philosophy. It's the structure of thought. It's understanding the structure of thought and how to successfully, gracefully, and elegantly navigate our way through all of humanity. All of our human experiences, how our neurology, our language, and how we condition ourselves or, quote, program ourselves through the continued use. Once you understand this, it is a game changer. If you'd like to learn more about NLP, Neuro Linguistic Programming, or Ericksonian hypnosis, see, I'm a master practitioner and trainer of Neuro Linguistic Programming, certified by Richard Bandler, certified by Doug O'Brien, certified through the Barron University, and also having been personally trained and on the road with Tony Robbins for 5 years. I've got a bit of experience that I'd love to share with you to help you use the technology that the provider that God presented and was gifted us with. So if you'd like more information, if you have questions about that, please reach out to me. I'd love to have this conversation. It is my absolute passion and privilege to share this technology. So I look forward to connecting with you soon. And with that being said, I love you for who you are and who you aren't. And remember to subscribe to this channel and share this if this was helpful. All right, see you soon.